The camera opens on a packed congressional hearing. Tension hums beneath the surface, every eye fixed on the dais. The chairman's gavel echoes, signaling the start. Jasmine Crockett and Nancy Mace sit across from each other, their posture rigid, faces set. Host's voice breaks the silence. Today, the nation is watching. Are you ready for the truth behind Washington's walls? A beat passes, heavy. Nancy Mace arches an eyebrow, leans into her mic with practiced confidence. Nancy: "Oh, I'm always ready, Chairman, and I hope my colleague from Texas has prepared more than her usual scripted sound bites." Her voice is casual, but laced with challenge. Crockett's expression remains unflinching. Jasmine: "Congresswoman Mace, the only script I'm following is called accountability. Some of us came here to serve the people, not perform for donors." A murmur ripples through the audience. Mace smirks, glancing down at her papers, dismissive. Nancy: "Let's keep things civil, Jasmine. Not everyone's here for a show." Jasmine meets her gaze, voice cool. "I agree. That's why I plan to talk facts, not theatrics. Let's give the public what they deserve. The truth." A charged silence fills the chamber. The chairman nods for them to proceed, aware this won't be a routine session. The air is electric with expectation, as if everyone senses the storm to come. As cameras flash, the audience leans in. This isn't just another hearing, it's a showdown, and no one's looking away. The hearing room grows more tense as Jasmine Crockett adjusts her microphone. She leans forward, her eyes locking on Nancy Mace, her voice unwavering but sharp. Jasmine: "Congresswoman Mace, if you want to talk about performances, maybe you should start with your own campaign ads. The only difference is, you get paid for yours." There's a flicker of irritation across Nancy's face, but she forces a tight smile. Nancy: "Oh, Jasmine, you've always had a flair for drama, but let's not confuse passion with policy." Jasmine: "And let's not confuse photo ops with public service. Or is that too much reality for your press team to handle?" A low, nervous laugh trickles from a corner of the chamber. Mace's jaw tightens. She fires back, her tone growing brittle. Nancy: "You know, Jasmine, you spend a lot of time pointing fingers, but not enough actually doing the work. Maybe that's why you're always looking for a camera." Jasmine: "Funny, coming from someone who's turned every vote into a fundraiser. The difference between us is, I don't have to rehearse the truth." Nancy: "Keep telling yourself that. Meanwhile, some of us have to actually get things done." Jasmine leans in, voice cold. "Getting things done shouldn't mean selling out your constituents. If calling that out is drama to you, then maybe Congress needs more drama." A hushed gasp moves through the crowd. The chairman shifts uneasily, sensing the conversation teetering on the edge of a confrontation. Tension thickens as both women refuse to blink. The first real shots fired, lines drawn for the battle to come. As the tension lingers, Jasmine Crockett straightens, the glare of overhead lights reflecting in her determined eyes. She inhales, then speaks with a calm power that cuts through the room. Jasmine: "You know, people didn't send me here to be polite or to play political games. They sent me here because they're tired of watching politicians say one thing in this chamber and do another behind closed doors. I'm not here to win a popularity contest or to impress lobbyists. I came here to represent working families who can't afford an army of lawyers to fight for them, who can't buy influence with a checkbook." She pauses, her voice tightening. "I remember what it's like to wonder if you'll keep your lights on next month, if the prescription your mom needs will break your budget. Maybe that's not reality for everyone in this room, but it's reality for most of America. So, I refuse to sit quietly while my colleagues collect donations from corporations that profit off the suffering of people they claim to serve." The chamber is silent. All eyes are fixed on Jasmine. For a moment, Even Nancy Mace seems caught off guard. Jasmine continues. I didn't come here to play it safe. I came here to ask hard questions about who really benefits when bills pass, about who's really sitting at the table when the deals are cut. If that makes me unpopular, so be it. I'd rather speak for those who aren't in the room than chase approval from those who sold their voices long ago. A wave of discomfort sweeps the hearing. Staffers exchange glances. Jasmine's words settle over the room like a challenge, one that won't be easily ignored. Jasmine Crockett keeps her gaze fixed on Nancy Mace, then calmly reaches into a folder. Her movements are deliberate, drawing the eyes of everyone in the room. She lifts a printed document and holds it up for all to see. Jasmine, let's move from words to facts. Congresswoman Mace, I have here a record of your campaign contributions, publicly available, but rarely read on camera. According to these filings, just 2 weeks before you pushed for the deregulation bill on pharmaceuticals, your campaign accepted $115,000 from Sin Pharma's corporate PAC. A murmur spreads across the audience. Nancy Mace shifts uncomfortably in her seat, face suddenly less composed. Jasmine's voice grows firmer. This is not conjecture, it's not hearsay. These are financial records, signed and submitted by your own staff. The timing isn't a coincidence. While your constituents were asking for lower drug prices, you were meeting with Sin Pharma executives behind closed doors. Then, the very next week, you voted for a bill that handed them millions in subsidies and slashed oversight. She leans in, every word punctuated and clear. I'm asking you right now, Congresswoman, can you look your voters in the eye and explain why your vote lined up perfectly with a 6-figure check from Big Pharma? Is that what representation looks like to you? A heavy silence falls. Staffers shuffle papers. The chairman's face betrays unease. Mace opens her mouth to reply but hesitates, caught between anger and disbelief. Jasmine sets the document on the table, her hand steady, her expression resolute. The room feels ready to erupt, but for a moment, everything is frozen, waiting for Mace to answer. Nancy Mace's composure shatters under the spotlight. Her hand trembles slightly as she fumbles for the microphone, eyes darting around the chamber, looking for an ally, a lifeline. The silence in the room is sharp, everyone waiting to see how she'll react. Nancy, that donation was fully disclosed. It was legal, it was reported, and there is nothing unusual about it. My office follows all campaign finance laws to the letter. I have never let a contribution influence my vote. These attacks are the kind of political theater that makes Americans lose faith in Congress. Her words come out quick, nearly frantic, as she tries to control her breathing. But her voice cracks, revealing the stress beneath the surface. Nancy glances at the chairman, then at Jasmine, her face flushed. Nancy, raising her voice. You want to play prosecutor, Jasmine? Go ahead. But don't stand here and pretend you're the only one who cares about people struggling to pay for medicine. I've spent my career fighting for lower drug costs, for more choice, for families who can't afford to wait on Washington bureaucracy. A check from a PAC doesn't change my convictions. She leans forward, trying to regain control, but her hands clutch her notes tightly. She continues, her tone now more defensive. Nancy, and let's be honest, if you dig through anyone's donor list, you'll find something to twist. But I don't apologize for raising money to compete. That's the system we're forced to work in. The tension in her words betrays her anger, her anxiety, and a hint of desperation. For the first time, cracks show in her polished public image, and the room can sense it. Even her supporters shift in their seats, uncertain. Jasmine Crockett doesn't break eye contact as Nancy Mace finishes her tirade. She waits for the echoes of Mace's words to fade, then leans into her microphone, her tone suddenly softer, but cutting even deeper. Jasmine. Congresswoman, no one is saying you broke the law. I'm saying you broke trust. There's a difference, and everyone in this room feels it, even if some are too afraid to admit it out loud. Legal and ethical aren't the same. The American people understand this, even when Washington pretends not to. A hush falls over the chamber. Jasmine's next words are measured, revealing a glimpse behind her public armor. Jasmine. I know what it's like to face pressure, to have powerful people try to shape your decisions. I grew up watching my own family get squeezed by the system, wondering if those making laws even remembered how ordinary people live. That's why I chose this fight. It's not easy standing up to the machine, but it's harder to look your community in the eye and know you sold out their trust for a bigger campaign check. She pauses, letting the truth settle. Jasmine. This isn't just about paperwork or procedure. It's about who we are when nobody's watching. It's about whether your vote is for sale, or if, deep down, you still remember why you came here in the first place. For a moment, the audience glimpses Jasmine's private resolve, the fears she carries, the weight of expectations, the cost of not compromising. The room is silent, shaken by the candor in her voice. Mace glances down, caught off guard by the unexpected vulnerability in Jasmine's words. The tension has shifted from political to profoundly personal. Nancy Mace exhales shakily, the fire of confrontation replaced by a flicker of doubt. She glances at her notes, but pushes them aside, realizing political talking points won't save her now. For a long moment, she hesitates, then speaks, not as a polished politician, but as a person under immense pressure. Nancy, voice wavering, barely above a whisper. You think I don't know what it's like to have doubts? You think I haven't lost sleep over every vote, every headline, every phone call from someone in my district who can't afford their prescription? She looks up, eyes searching the room, searching Jasmine. Nancy. You talk about standing up to the machine, but you don't know what it's like to be a target inside your own party, to feel your phone buzz with threats, to watch colleagues turn their backs because you didn't toe the line. One wrong move, one vote out of place, and they'll erase you. They'll make you a pariah, overnight. Her words hang heavy, stripped of bravado. Nancy. I didn't come here to get rich or famous. I came here to survive, and sometimes, when you're just trying to keep your head above water, you do things you're not proud of. You rationalize. You tell yourself you'll fix it next time, but it never gets easier. She lets the silence linger, her fear exposed for the first time. No script, no spin, just the truth of a woman battling expectations, both public and private. The hearing room seems smaller, more intimate. Mace's words leave the audience unsettled, questioning whether any public servant can truly remain untouched by the system. Jasmine Crockett absorbs the weight of Nancy Mace's admission, then leans forward again, her gaze sharp, her voice low but steady. The quiet that follows is filled with anticipation. Jasmine's words now carry a calculated precision. Jasmine. Congresswoman, I understand pressure. We all feel it, but pressure doesn't give you the right to ignore your duty, and it certainly doesn't give you the right to take money from those who profit off the very people we swore to protect. She raises an eyebrow, letting the tension build before she drops the next bombshell. Jasmine. Take a look at this, Nancy. Your campaign isn't just funded by pharmaceutical PACs. No, it's even worse. I have here the names of executives, top-level donors from companies that are involved in practices we've publicly denounced, companies that contribute to the opioid crisis, companies that raise drug prices beyond affordability, companies that use lobbying as a weapon. She pulls up another document, this one marked with corporate logos, signatures, and large sums. Jasmine. Nearly 40% of your campaign funding over the last 2 years came from these same companies, but you voted time and time again to protect their bottom line, to shield them from regulations that could save lives. The room shifts. Staff members glance at each other nervously. Even the chairman seems stunned by the financial specifics laid bare before them. Jasmine. This isn't about being a politician. This is about whose interests you serve, Nancy. And when you serve the rich and powerful instead of the people you're supposed to represent, that's called corruption. The silence is deafening. Nancy Mace's face pales. The camera zooms in, capturing her tightening grip on her notes, her body stiffening as the magnitude of what's been exposed hits her. Nancy Mace's face flushes, her composure cracking under the weight of the revelations. She stammers for a moment, reaching for her microphone, trying to regain her footing. Her usual polished demeanor slips as she struggles to find a response that can challenge Jasmine's accusations. Nancy, sharply. Do you think I don't know what it looks like, Jasmine? Do you think I don't get the headlines and the snide remarks from my own colleagues every time I take a stand? You sit there acting like you're some hero of the people, but let me remind you, you're playing the same game. She pauses, frustration seeping through her carefully crafted exterior. Nancy, gritting her teeth. You're pointing fingers at me for campaign donations? What about the big money interests funding your career, huh? It's all the same machine, Jasmine. We're all in it, and you're no different. She slams her fist on the table, her eyes flashing with raw emotion. Nancy, with rising intensity. You talk about corruption, but you don't understand what it takes to survive in this city. You're out here throwing stones, but I bet you'd sell out just like the rest of us if it meant protecting your career. You don't know what it's like to fight for every inch, every vote, to know that one wrong move could end everything. Her breath is heavy now, her voice trembling with the pressure of it all. The public persona she's worked so hard to build is beginning to crack. Nancy, almost pleading, I didn't ask for this. I didn't ask to be in this position where every choice I make gets scrutinized, where everything I do gets twisted. But I'm doing what I have to do. I'm doing what's necessary to make sure I stay in the game. She looks directly at Jasmine, a mix of defiance and exhaustion in her eyes. Nancy. Because in Washington, it's not about what's right. It's about surviving. Jasmine Crockett's posture remains poised, her expression unwavering as she listens to Nancy Mace's increasingly defensive rant. There's no visible anger on her face, just calm determination. She knows the battle is far from over, and this moment, this final retort, will define everything. Jasmine, with quiet intensity. Congresswoman, I didn't ask for this fight either, but I took it because someone has to. Someone has to say the things that everyone else is too scared to say. Someone has to be the voice for the people who don't have lobbyists, for the families drowning in medical debt while you line your pockets. She pauses, letting the weight of her words sink in, her voice steady but powerful. Jasmine, you say it's about surviving in this system. Well, I'm here to tell you something that might be hard to hear. Survival doesn't mean selling out your soul. It means standing up when it's hard, even when you're scared, even when you're under fire. It means knowing the difference between what's legal and what's right. She leans in slightly, narrowing her eyes as she delivers her final point, her voice dripping with quiet fury. Jasmine, you call it survival, Nancy. I call it betrayal, and it's the people who will pay the price. Because every time you make a deal under the table, it's someone else's life on the line. And the truth is, you can keep fighting to stay in the game, but sooner or later, the people will find out, and they'll remember. Jasmine sits back in her chair, her tone softening just a touch, but her words still carrying the punch of undeniable truth. Jasmine, I'm not here for a game, I'm here for justice, and I won't stop until that's what we get. The room goes still. A heavy silence hangs in the air, the power of Jasmine's words resonating through the chamber. Nancy Mace's face is a mix of disbelief and growing frustration. She opens her mouth to respond, but no words come. For the first time, it seems as though the power has shifted. Nancy Mace sits in stunned silence, her mouth slightly open, as if struggling to find the right words. The room is dead quiet, the weight of Jasmine's words still hanging heavily in the air. The usual political defenses, the rehearsed counterattacks, all seem to have disappeared in the face of this raw honesty. The chairman shifts in his seat, clearly uncomfortable with the extended silence. Other Congress members look on, waiting for the next move, unsure whether Mace will break the tension or retreat. Nancy, finally, with difficulty. I didn't expect this to go this way, Jasmine. I didn't think. Her voice falters, the carefully constructed image of the determined, untouchable politician slipping from her. There's a hesitation in her eyes, a crack that wasn't there before. Nancy, barely above a whisper, I didn't want this. I didn't want to be this person. She presses her lips together, her face flushed, clearly battling her inner demons. The honesty of her admission is startling, and for a brief moment, the audience sees a human side of Mace that no one expected. Jasmine doesn't say anything immediately. She simply watches, her gaze steady, unflinching. It's as though she's waiting for Mace to make her next move, waiting to see if the Congresswoman can regain her footing, or if this moment will define her. The silence stretches on, thick with unspoken tension. Mace's eyes dart around, avoiding the direct gaze of the cameras, her hands trembling slightly. Jasmine, softly, with a hint of finality. Sometimes the hardest thing is to admit when you've lost your way, but there's still time, Nancy. There's always time to do better. A few heartbeats pass. It's clear that Jasmine isn't looking for an apology, or even an immediate response. She's simply offering the truth, unvarnished. Nancy swallows hard, her gaze now locked on the table in front of her. The room holds its breath. The room is still, the weight of Jasmine's words hanging in the air like a heavy cloud. Nancy Mace remains silent, her body rigid, hands clenching the edge of the table. She's fighting a battle inside herself, but the audience can see it. The vulnerability beneath the political armor, the struggle to regain control. The chairman clears his throat, breaking the silence, but no one moves. All eyes are on Mace. The room is waiting for her to speak, to either take responsibility or lash out. Instead, she does neither. Nancy, softly, almost inaudibly, maybe you're right. The words are barely a whisper, but they hit like a bombshell in the silence. Mace's voice is shaking, her defenses shattered. The cameras zoom in on her face, where a brief flash of defeat is visible, quickly masked by the usual composure. Jasmine doesn't look away. She watches Mace closely, her expression unreadable. For a moment, there's no triumph in her gaze, just a quiet acknowledgement that something has shifted. Jasmine, almost to herself, but loud enough to be heard. I didn't want you to break, Nancy. I wanted you to see what you're doing to your people. Mace finally lifts her eyes, locking with Jasmine's, but there's no anger, no fire, just an emptiness, as if the weight of her own choices has begun to sink in. Nancy, you don't understand. I did what I thought was best. I didn't think it would get like this. Jasmine, softly but firmly. That's the problem. You didn't think. You let the system decide for you. A long pause follows. The tension lingers, but this time it's different. There's a sense of something unresolved, a new layer of uncertainty hanging over both women. The chairman calls for a brief recess, his voice strained, but the silence remains as powerful as ever. As staff begins to move and the room empties, Nancy stays seated, her shoulders slumped, still wrestling with the truth she can no longer ignore. Jasmine stands, gathering her papers, her demeanor unchanged. She doesn't look back as she exits the room, leaving behind a trail of unanswered questions. The camera lingers on Mace, who now seems like a person caught in a web of her own making,